Good morning, everyone. I'm going to be talking about the forecast for the upcoming week, meaning November 10th through November 16th. But first, before we get there, let's talk about what was happening Sunday evening into Sunday night. And we'll do that by looking at the radar for that time frame, especially over, let's say, the mid-Atlantic into the Northeast. There was moderate to heavy rain over, let's say, Virginia into Delaware, and even over portions of New England into Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Now in Maine, you can see actually some freezing rain, sleet, and snow occurring, especially as you move from south to north. What you don't see is Ottawa had a very heavy snow on Sunday, anywhere from 6 to 8 inches of snow in that region. Now, this is associated with a low pressure system over the state of New York. This low pressure system on the back side of it has westerly flow and northerly flow moving over the Great Lakes, and there's some lake enhancement to the snowfall Sunday evening. Locations such as Cleveland have seen a changeover to snow. Temperatures dropping into the lower 30s as we head into Sunday night. Places like South Bend had received maybe several inches of snowfall at this point. This heavier band of snow began to propagate to the west, affecting locations around Chicago. And as far as snowfall amounts, again, we'll kind of get into that later, but 5 to 10 inches of snowfall is expected in that region from this event. And even higher amounts still can occur, let's say, in the high elevations of West Virginia and the Allegheny Mountains. Another location that's favored in this event is over western New York. Again, we'll kind of cover that later as we move on in the video. But first, I want to zoom out and talk about why the low pressure is setting up in this area. Again, this is associated with a trough over the East Coast. This trough will begin to propagate further to the east as we move forward in the week, but it will be stalling out because of what is called a Greenland Block. We'll have a better image of that coming up hopefully soon, so you can see that and understand that. But in the meantime, we have this jet streak that's very powerful off the East Coast. That's enhancing the low pressure system that we're seeing over the Northeast. And these winds that are associated with the jet stream, again at 200 millibars high up in the troposphere, are reaching 200 miles per hour. So this is a very anomalous event in that we have not only the temperature gradient that's extreme, but we have this merging of the polar jet stream with the subtropical jet stream, which doesn't always happen here along the East Coast. Now further west still, we have a ridge that's building into the Air Mountain West and the Great Plains as we move forward in the week. Now first, I want to talk about the temperatures on Monday and Tuesday. They're anomalously cold, so anywhere from 15 to 20 degrees below normal, and this is extending down into the state of Florida. So some locations in the state of Florida and northern Florida could see temperatures in the 30s Tuesday morning. That shows you how cold this air is for, let's say, early November. And this cold air, of course, is extending from Florida into the Northeast. Locations, let's say in New York State, will see temperatures in the low 20s at different points this week during the morning. Now, further to the west, we can see these above average temperatures moving into the Great Plains and extending, let's say, northward into Canada, Hudson Bay region. That will be what's happening for the rest of the week before the next trough moves in. Now, this is kind of extending out through the rest of the week. So again, it starts on Sunday, Monday time frame, moves through about Thursday into Friday. And what you'll notice is that if you look at the ridge trough pattern, it becomes more wavy with time. And this is due in large part to what we're seeing downstream. And when I say downstream, kind of move your eyes to the Atlantic, the North Atlantic in particular, and look at the greens and yellows here extending into Greenland. What's happening there is we're having this strong ridging pattern set up in that region. And it was, I think, set up as early as November 6th, if you go back and look at the data. But this ridge pattern is going to stay in place and kind of entrench that trough that we're seeing there in the Northeast for much of the week, allowing for reinforcing shots of cold air throughout the week. So locations like New York into Maine could see morning lows in the 20s for much of the week, I think through Friday. Meanwhile, we can see the ridge extending further north into Canada in response to this. And this again is due to the wavy nature of these waves as they move from west to east because of that blocking feature. Now, moving to the next thing, I want to show you the forecast, at least for the next 2 days, in terms of the snowfall around the Great Lakes region. Now, if we look at, let's say, Lake Michigan, and we look at the southern portion of that area, we can see a band of snowfall projected in that area, let's say Sunday afternoon. And as we move forward, we can see a heavy band of snowfall come Sunday night. This would be around 10 p.m. Sunday night, so very soon here, according to what we were seeing on the radar. And that will move into the South Bend region, places like Chicago, be very heavy overnight, but it will come to an end fairly quickly as we move into Monday morning. And we'll see a area of lighter snow move through the Midwest into places like West Virginia over time, and we'll probably see 4 to 8 inches in locations such as Snowshoe, West Virginia from this event. Again, probably being their first big event for the season as well. I also want to point out that South Bend could see a second round of snow come Monday night. So again, they could be, let's say, anywhere from 4 p.m. or after that point where another heavy band of snow sets up. So 2 rounds of snow possible for them. Around the same time frame, we're seeing in the favored regions around Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, especially Buffalo, New York, seeing heavy snow kick in Monday afternoon, Monday evening, and through Monday night. So some of these locations could pick up over 6 inches of snow, as much as 10 inches in this first lake effect snow event. So that'll be exciting for many of you as we head into the next couple of days. Now, the trough can be kind of outlined by these blue lines, right? We can see that from this negative tilt here, again, extending from northwest to southeast here, where that trough is kind of being held in place. But also to the west, we can see these rid lines, right, extending further to the north. And that's that ridge trying to move into, let's say, the Midwest and even portions of the southeast. So let's zoom back out for a moment. I do want to kind of go over the snowfall amounts before we move ahead. Again, the National Weather Service is showing 60 to 80% chance of 8 inches of snow around the southern edge of Lake Michigan. Another location where there's a high probability, again, is around Snowshoe, West Virginia. Elevations there close to 5,000 feet, though. So again, with orographic lifting, that's definitely possible. Other favored regions for this event are around Buffalo. Again, western New York here. We could see anywhere from 40 to 60% chance of 8 inches of snow. Further north still, the snow that you're seeing near Ottawa probably has already fallen during the day Sunday. Now, as we move forward in time, let's watch what happens. Again, we can see the trough moving from west to east. And as we head into the day Wednesday, it's still holding on to the northeast, but that ridge is beginning to build in from the west. And as that moves further and further to the east, those warmer temperatures will come with it. Until we get into the day, let's say Thursday in particular, we can see this heavy rain moving onshore. And if I were to back it up just a little bit, it looks like maybe Wednesday night is when a lot of the heavy rain hits the coast of California, the Bay region in particular. 1 to 2 inches of rainfall could fall there. And we could see as much as a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of rain along the western coast of Oregon and the locations near Portland. But as you can see on this map, it looks like lighter rain over Washington, maybe a few tenths of rain there. The higher locations around the coastline could see a 1/2 inch of rain. But again, as you go inland, far less rain, especially over the state of Washington. But as we watch this atmospheric river move into the west coast of the lower 48, we can see snowfall setting up over the Sierra Nevada. Heavy rains could set up over Southern California, so that's possible. It seems kind of early in the season, right, for this to kind of happen. I just expect this in December, January, February, that time frame, not this early November time frame. But that's what we'll be seeing, and that will be beneficial, of course, to that region. Now, as we move forward in time, we can see the precipitation associated with this trough move inland. Over the Intermountain West, we'll see snowfall over the Rockies. Now, as we move into the day Saturday, we see a low-pressure system develop over the plains. Now, where it develops, it will likely be like around Colorado, that region, southern plains. And where it goes after that is still kind of up in the air. But what we will see with high confidence here is that rain will develop east of the Rockies. And some of this could be severe as we head into the day Saturday. What I want to show is the available potential energy in terms of joules. And we can see on the order of 500 to as much as 1,500 CAPE here, especially as you head into Texas and Oklahoma during the day Saturday. Now, again, this is not perfect. This is something that will change as we head towards next weekend. But the potential's there for that energy to be available for the storms as that trough moves into the Great Plains. So that'll be something to watch as we head towards next week. Now, in the meantime, we can expect heavy rain, right, towards the middle of the week over California, snowfall over the Intermountain West, storms as we head into next weekend. But I think the big news for a lot of people is this trough will begin to move out of the east. These colder temperatures will warm up as we head towards midweek, and I think that will be good news for a lot of people moving forward. But until next week, I hope everything goes well for you guys. If you like this video, please leave a like or subscribe. So until next week, bye.